Hello everyone. Before we get to the meat of the video or the topic for the video, I just want to say that this particular video is about the Northern Lights and my journey to the Northern Lights. So, this is just a short message to, if you like what's on this channel, please feel free to like and subscribe and leave any comments, anything you want me to talk about, anything you hope me to talk about, anything you don't want me to talk about in the comment section, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, let's do this. Well, hello everyone. I'm not gonna say welcome back because it's been a few months since I actually posted a video, but I have a lot of reasons for that. As you are aware, I did have a colonoscopy a couple of months ago. Then I decided, I want to do an Ironman, but it's really a half Ironman. But still, that involves a lot of training. And 3, I love bowling, so I've been bowling out. I know those are excuses, and I'm not supposed to make excuses. But I just wanted to provide a rationale as to why I haven't posted a video in a while. However, I have been doing stuff. I have been doing stuff related to astronomy. And one of the things that I would like to talk about today is my experience seeing the Northern Lights. Yes, I have finally gone to see the Northern Lights. And if you haven't seen them before, they are amazing. They were absolutely amazing. And that's the point of this video, to tell you about this trip. I wanted to see the Northern Lights. I also had a desire to go to the Arctic Circle. Now, where could I accomplish both? Well, you can accomplish both in Alaska. So I decided to go to Fairbanks, Alaska. Now, I enjoy Fairbanks. Fairbanks is a wonderful place. Not necessarily large, but it is a wonderful place. So I was able to fly up to Fairbanks. And Fairbanks is about 4 hours from the Arctic Circle. And the interesting thing about the Arctic Circle is that if you've seen some of my past videos, I do explain that I don't have a ball on me. But the Earth is tilted. The tilt of the Earth is the reason why we have seasons. And another thing about the tilt of the Earth is the higher north you go, and the higher north you go, and the lower south you go. So as you get closer to the North Pole, as you get closer to the South Pole, the days actually become longer in the summer. The days become shorter in the winter. And Fairbanks is relatively close to the Arctic Circle. That's where it really, in essence, from a geographical standpoint, you're at the top of the Earth at that point. And during the winter, for example, Fairbanks might only receive 4 hours of daylight because you're so high up and the sun does not stay above the horizon for a long period of time. But anyway, I wanted to get to the Arctic. I didn't have to worry about that because I went in fall and the days were getting shorter, but it was still manageable. Anyway, I went to Fairbanks and I decided to do a tour, and they drive you up to the Arctic Circle. Now, the interesting thing about Alaska is that they do have permafrost. Now, you might be wondering, well, what's permafrost? Permafrost is, so in some environments, when it's extremely cold, the road freezes. And as it warms up, because of the temperature, the ground doesn't completely thaw. At a certain point, the ground remains frozen. And as it warms up, as it freezes, you can tell on the surface the road would move because it's thawing and freezing, expansion, contraction, and therefore a lot of the roads, especially outside of the major cities, aren't paved. And in order to get to the Arctic Circle, we went on what's known as the Dalton Highway. It goes from, in essence, from Fairbanks all the way to the actual Arctic Ocean. And most of it is dirt road. You also don't have cell phone service. So 4 hours without cell phone service is actually quite... You don't realize how much you depend on your cell phone until it's actually gone for that period of time. But anyway, I do have pictures. So I'll be posting pictures about this after this video. But 4-hour drive to the Arctic Circle. We make it to the Arctic Circle. And they have a sign, and it does move, but I'm not sure if the Arctic Circle, where it's located, is actually moving closer to the North Pole or moving away from the North Pole. But anyway, it's kind of like the geographical North Pole and the magnetic North Pole. The magnetic North Pole and South Pole moves. The geographic North Pole is in the fixed location. But so got to the Arctic Circle, took some pictures, and while that is astronomy related, the highlight of the astronomy portion of this video are the Northern Lights. Now, for those that are curious of what the Northern Lights are, in essence, make sure I get this right. Make sure I said this right. Well, I know my limitations, so I will look up what, because I want to make sure I get this on. I want to say why I got this, how I could get this right. That's right. I was about to say something silly like magnetic fields and solar storms, but in essence, what they are is charged particles from the sun. And solar storms, more or less. They hit Earth. They're highly charged. They hit Earth's atmosphere. Obviously, it causes, well, no, obviously, but it causes a reaction. And from here on Earth, we see that interaction between the charged particles and the Earth's atmosphere. Most of the time, they are green. Sometimes they're red. And the good thing about going the further north is that the longer there is darkness, the more likely of chance you will actually see the Northern Lights. Now, you can see them in Fairbanks itself, but the problem is, as with a lot of things with astronomy, light pollution. That's why you have to go away from the light pollution in order to actually see them. And the amazing thing about seeing them, well, let me set this up. Let me set it up. So we go up to the Arctic Circle, and we're driving back. It was cloudy, and therefore we weren't really expecting to see the Northern Lights. But as we were driving back from the Arctic Circle, the weather cleared up, and the first sign of them is amazing. Because I did not know that the Northern Lights are actually in motion, which makes sense because they're charged particles from the sun, they're hitting the atmosphere, so obviously it seems like, yes, that interaction causes them to be in motion. But they are in motion, and they can be faint, they can be darkened, well, they were very bright, they can be faint to all the way extremely bright. I got to experience both. I also post some pictures of it. But the amazing thing was that I tried to take it with my digital camera, and given the time that we had, those pictures did not turn out very well. But I was easily able to take them with my iPhone. I'm not a professional, so and to the average person, they pretty much can't tell between an iPhone image a digital camera, oh, yeah, a digital camera image. I mean, it was the pictures I showed. They were like, oh, they're so amazing, they're wonderful. Oh, and they are amazing. Now the videos were the videos themselves weren't necessarily the best, but they showed the Northern Lights in motion, and some of them were a thin line, some of them covered the entire sky. But the interesting thing about it was that I'm surprised that I wasn't able to see the Milky Way. I've been to Mauna Kea and I've been under an extreme of zero light pollution, and I was able to see those things. Maybe because this was during a full moon, the moon was out, so that might have changed. That might have, more than likely, made things more difficult to see a completely low light pollution night sky, because we were away from civilization. There's really not much out there that far north in Alaska. We drove past the station, but that was 3 hours away, which does bring the question as what happens if you have some car trouble. You have stat radio. You need stat radio. But anyway, the Northern Lights were amazing. There's really not much to them, like, for example, an eclipse and details involved in that. But I will say that if you're watching this video, it means that you are interested in astronomy. And even though it doesn't involve stars, it does involve the interaction between the Earth and the Sun. And I ended up loving watching the Northern Lights. It reminded me of watching a total eclipse, in which you saw the corona and it was moving it was moving like waves in the ocean. This was the same way. It wasn't to the exact same effect, but you saw the Northern Lights in motion, like waves across the sky, being thin to wide, being light green to dark green, seeing multiple ones at the same time. It was completely, each event was random. Now the thing about it was, it wasn't one showing like an eclipse. An eclipse lasts anywhere from a few seconds to a couple of minutes, but the Northern Lights can last a couple of hours. One might come across for 5 minutes, and you don't see anything for an hour. All of a sudden, you see another one, and it's spectacular, and then might not see another one for another hour, and the next thing you know is not that great. It's all random, which I do like. Now, it does take staying up for them very difficult, because we were up till 2 o'clock in the morning, because it got dark sunset was around 11 o'clock. And we didn't get back till around 4 o'clock. And between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, we were able to see multiple Northern Light shows. But some of them were great, some of them were very thin. The moon didn't really impact it as much as I thought I would. You're still able to see them. And it was a wonderful show. I'm glad I was able to take the time to fly up to Fairbanks, visit Fairbanks, and then take a tour up to the Arctic Circle. It was quite an enjoyable trip. My recommendation for it: if you are into astronomy, I recommend you see the Northern Lights. The best thing about them that I was actually shocked by is that you don't need any fancy equipment to see them. You really just need your iPhone or Android, and you can take wonderful pictures. Now, unless you're a professional, but even professionals can manipulate the camera on an iPhone to come up with very good images. But I have an iPhone, and that's why I'm referencing it. But that's pretty much all you need. Unlike when I went to Mauna Kea, and it was much more difficult to take pictures of stars with my iPhone. The Northern Lights did not have that problem. You really just need to get there and use your smartphone, and you can take as many pictures that are good quality as much as possible. The only downside to the iPhone is that taking video. The video, as I mentioned earlier, was not that great. But most people don't need to watch a video. You can take pictures. As for Fairbanks itself, great city. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Not much there if you're not into nature and hiking and very outdoorsy activities. If you're into those things, Fairbanks is great. But if you're the type of you like to stay in the room, you can't do that. I wasn't there that long, but it was worth the trip. I think everyone who is interested in astronomy should make the trip to see the Northern Lights at some point in their life. You don't have to go to Fairbanks. I wanted to go to the Arctic Circle, so I wanted to, in essence, do both. But you can go to other locations that are toward the Arctic Circle and visit, for example, Iceland, and still able to see the Northern Lights. So that is the video. I will be posting these more often now that I've reached some type of balance in my life at the moment. And feel free to post any questions or comments in the comment section. And I'll see you again.